Thanks.
All right, thank you. You be seated. All right. Your next question.
Thank you, Your Honor. Ms. Heard, you remember during Mr. Depp's examination, a number of recordings were played, correct?
That's correct.
And in one of those recordings, you told Mr. Depp, quote, "I hope to God Jack's stepfather teaches him more about being a man than your left nut," end quote. Do you remember that?
I do not remember what exactly I could hear of that recording. I remember I heard myself make a mention of Jack's new stepfather or potential stepfather. I can't recall.
Jack is Mr. Depp's son, right?
That is correct. And I believe I was referencing a marriage that his ex-partner was going to have or getting into, I suppose.
You were referencing that Jack's new stepfather would teach him how to be a man because Mr. Depp couldn't.
I
right?
don't recall exactly what I said, but it was something to that effect.
Let's listen to some of what happened before you said that to Mr. Depp. If we could please play Plaintiff's Exhibit 397, which is already in evidence. And for the record, it's at 3504 through 3547. And then the next clip is 3635 through 4308.
I don't regret. I don't regret.
Oh, what else that you do? Oh, come on. Come on. Lay it on me. What else? What else other things do you want to add? Like your life. He says, your life. Oh, no, I want to know. I want to know.
Get out your Ubers out.
I'm kind of waiting. You go get it.
Yeah,
wait, is there no other place for you to run in your 15 other houses to go run? Come on, go be a real married man. Go deal with it the way that a man does. Go run to the next house. Every man does.
Yeah.
Go. Run away. That's what I do.
You're the most spoiled brat. And you got everybody out here almost full, but it don't last long.
You're right.
I've been
sorry.
here a lot longer
You're
than
right.
you.
You got to figure it out.
You don't have figure out what you have to offer as opposed to going out and get your out.
You're right. That's what I do.
Well, yeah.
Okay.
Lemon field is
You're right. You're
excellent
right.
choice.
Back to that. Well, I wonder what we else. I wonder what else we can reach for in the last 60 years. Oh no, it was 4 years ago. You're right. I'm sure there's other things you can find.
Go laugh.
No, I'm not laughing.
Or, no, matter of fact,
I'm not laughing. I'm not. It's serious. I'm sure you can find other things.
I know. And stripping. Well, there's always that. You can
You're
always
right.
go back
You can
to
write
that
a book. You can write a book. I know you can write a book. Oh, is this gonna be good for your book? Oh, should I have you sign an NDA for your book?
You don't even
Your book.
No,
Is this
no.
gonna be good for your book?
You won't even
Is this
make
gonna be
it.
good for your book? Hey,
I'll write what I want. I'll write
I have a
what
good
I want.
idea.
All right,
How about you sell more of your journals? You don't want to sell out or anything. Let's sell you journals. Oh, wait.
Hey.
Hey, you're not
you
watching.
wanna sell out.
You're not selling
You don't wanna
out.
sell out, Magic Mike.
No,
You don't wanna
yeah,
sell out.
no one does
No.
21 Drunk Street when they're in their 20s. No, you're right. That's not selling out. No. When you're in your 20s, you should really know what you want. Like selling your journals.
By the way, If you didn't know who the f I was.
You're right. Go sell your journals like a real non-seller. 55-year-old. Or, sorry,
6.
51. I don't know. It doesn't matter at this point.
No.
I don't think so.
It really doesn't.
I don't really think so. But you're right. I mean, hey, at least I didn't do like a TV show where I was heartbroken in my 20s. God, that would be like embarrassing.
Wow.
If only me. Imagine mine. You're right. When you play. Okay.
Yeah.
Wow. You're right. You got it all figured out.
You don't even know what movies are dumb.
If only
You haven't even taken an interest.
If only I could be like
but I had to
you. If
watch
only
your
I
fucking-
could be like
I had to watch direct and you trying to like
You're a joke.
spew
You're
out
a
these f***ing lines.
You're a joke. You're a joke.
Yeah, I'm the joke in the industry, Amber. I'm the joke. I'm the joke in the
I'm
industry.
sorry. I can't really hear you. I'm sorry. It's loud for me to hear you. I'm gonna just go and pedal my way back. Sorry. I can't hear you.
Aquaman.
Oh, 21, whatever it was.
I was
I don't remember anymore.
I was 20.
No one cares.
Washed up piece. Washed up piece.
I can't hear you. I can't hear you. Oh, I can't hear you.
Your jealousy's so tragic.
I'm sorry.
Your jealousy's so tragic.
You told Mr. Depp your dick multiple times, didn't you?
Yes, I did.
You tell him to go run to his 15 other houses, right?
That's correct.
Because that's what he would do when you behave like this, isn't it?
Eventually, he would go and stay in one of the other houses.
You call him a sellout, don't you?
I was expressing frustration about his criticism of my career and how many problems that caused within the dynamic of our relationship, yes.
So you call him a sellout and a joke?
I called him horrible, ugly things, as you can hear. And
Sellout.
We spoke to each other in a really horrible way.
Pretty sure we just heard you speak to him in a really horrible way. You called him a sellout,
I just
right, Miss
disagree.
Heard? You called him a sellout, right, Miss Heard?
I called him a lot of ugly things.
And a joke.
I called him a lot of ugly things.
You called him a joke on that recording. You called him a washed up piece.
I think we both called each other that on that occasion, yes.
Mr. Depp mentions Aquaman, doesn't he?
Yes, he does.
Mr. Depp got you that role in Aquaman, didn't he?
Excuse me?
Mr. Depp got you that role in Aquaman, didn't he?
No, Miss Vasquez, I got myself that role by auditioning. That's
Mr.
how that
Depp
works.
says, quote, your jealousy is so tragic.
I heard him say that, yes.
You were the jealous one in this relationship, weren't you, Miss Heard?
I think he was indicating I was jealous of his career.
But now you've twisted it to say it was Mr. Depp that's the jealous one.
Johnny's always been very jealous when I worked, when I did anything, friends. Yes, he's always been very jealous.
Ms. Heard, I'm going to ask you to take a look at Plaintiff's Exhibit 120E. This is a series of text messages between you and Mr. Depp.
That is correct.
I'm going to move to admit and publish these text messages. Mr. Depp's messages have been redacted.
All right, any objection?
No, Your Honor.
All right, 120E in evidence, you can publish.
Starts with a text message from you to Mr. Depp on September 26, 2015, right?
That is correct.
You write, "Monster is back. This is him." Did I read that right?
That is correct.
And then in the next message, you write, quote, "Ran away, first sign of trouble. This is not the man you promised you would be." Did I read that correctly?
That is correct.
Then in the next one down, you write, "Promised, swore to me you would be."
That is
Right.
correct. The non-monster.
Ms. Heard, you're talking about Mr. Depp running away from you at the first sign of trouble, aren't you?
No, I'm recognizing the clues at this point. When he would run away at the first sign of trouble, often that was a clue for me to know that he was back using again and that we were about to enter the next phase of the cycle.
And you describe his running away from you as the monster, right?
That wasn't what was the monster. The monster is the man who beat me up. The running away was just attached to that. It was a sign, a signal to me, as a clue, as somebody trying to put together clues that we were entering into that phase.
But in these messages, Ms. Heard, the
Exactly.
monster isn't Mr. Depp doing drugs, is it?
It was always the man who did drugs and beat me up. Yes, that's always been the monster.
That's not what you're saying in these messages.
That is exactly what I'm saying in the messages.
You don't describe Mr. Depp being violent, do you?
I do not describe that in this text message, no.
So it's a cowardly monster this time.
No.
Okay. And going down the page, you write a long series of text messages to Mr. Depp that don't get a response. Is that correct?
That is correct.
You write, "Come grown, face the and we can do anything." You go on a little later to say, "Please come home. Let's apologize to each together." And continuing on page 77, you write, "Not go to bed mad." And then you say, "Sound okay? Sound like the priority in the long run? Come home. Don't be the monster. Be the man. Please. Please call me. Please." Continuing on page 78. You write, "I don't want the monster. I need my man. I need to talk to you. Please, Johnny. Don't force me to be something else to you. This is taking me for granted and I can never stop before this turns into something far darker." Describing yourself in that text message, right?
The exact opposite. I'm trying to interrupt him starting a new cycle where he starts using again.
He's not responding to you, Ms. Heard.
Yeah, that's why I'm trying to desperately stop him.
"Please answer the phone," you say. "Doesn't this mean anything to you?" And it goes on. And I won't read all these messages, but you're saying, "Please answer," over and over again. Right?
It was very important to me. I was running out of time and I was trying desperately to stop him.
He wasn't with you, Ms. Heard.
Exactly, which is how I knew it was about to get a lot worse. He would leave, use, and come back way worse, with way less reality, with more delusions. He'd be more drunk. He'd be
I'm going to
more
move to
under the
strike everything
influence.
after
I was trying to stop
the
that.
answer to her question.
Your Honor, she was responding.
I'll overrule the objection. That's fine.
Thank you, Your Honor.
This is a situation where you were trying to get Mr. Depp to pay attention to you. Isn't that right?
No, I was trying to stop him from using.
And because he ran away from you at the first sign of trouble, you call him a monster.
I was
right?
trying to stop him from turning into the monster. The drugs are the key that opened the door.
Who was the real monster in this relationship, Ms. Heard?
Lives in Johnny, half of Johnny. It's not all of Johnny. The other half of him is wonderful and beautiful and the man I love.
I'd like you to take a look at Plaintiff's Exhibit 120F. There's another set of text messages between you and Mr. Depp. Is that correct?
Yes, that's correct.
I'm going to move to admit and publish.
Any objection?
No, Your Honor.
All right, 120F in evidence. You can publish.
This is a set of text messages, and it's from October 2015. Do you see that?
Yes, I do.
In fact, you sent all these messages to Mr. Depp on October 22nd, 2015. Isn't that right?
Exactly. The same thing was happening here.
And again, I'm not going to read them all, but you start off again by trying to get Mr. Depp's attention, right? You write, "Please come home."
I was trying to stop another bender.
You write, "Please come home," right?
That is correct.
"Please answer. Don't break us up. Please answer. Please." And continuing on page 97, you write, "Give me some piece of your heart. Please, no fight, I promise. Please, no fights. Please, just pick up. Please give me 2 minutes. I'm dying. Please." And continuing on page 98, you write, "Please come home. Please come home, Baba. I am so sorry. Actually, you didn't say Baba, you said baby. Apologies. And it goes on. Did I read those correctly?
That is correct. That was another time I'm trying to stop another twist off.
This is what would happen when Mr. Depp would try to take some space from you, right?
No, this is what would happen when Johnny had moved into the next phase of the cycle, decided to use,
No,
and our
Ms.
lives
Heard.
were getting a lot worse at that
Ms.
point.
Heard, I'm talking about your actions. This is what you would do to Mr. Depp when he would leave you. You would harangue him.
I would try
Isn't that
to-
correct? You
I
would
would
harangue
try-
him.
Your Honor, at least let her answer the question. Interrupting her.
That's fine. Go ahead and answer the question.
I do not think I would characterize my behavior that way. I was trying to stop him from using.
You were texting him incessantly. Isn't that correct, Ms. Heard?
It was imperative for my life.
Ms.
It was
Heard,
very
my
important
question is
to me.
much more simple. You were texting him incessantly.
I would
Yes
try
or no?
everything to
Ms.
get a hold
Heard?
of him and
So
to
that's a
stop the
yes.
cycle.
That's a yes, right?
I would try everything to stop the cycle. It was that important to me.
And he's the monster for not responding to you,
That's not what made him the monster.
for
No.
needing space from you.
The monster was not the guy who needed space. The
Not
monster
for
was
doing
who he
drugs.
was when he came back.
Not for doing drugs, Ms. Heard. Not for being violent. Just for needing space. That's when you called Mr. Depp the monster.
Incorrect.
Let's listen to Defendant's Exhibit 598C, which is already in evidence.
And let's not do this anymore, because I'm really getting frustrated. And I'm really, really, really sick of this argument.
Stop, I'm sorry.
Okay? So let me go, and you go, and I'll speak to you in a couple hours. Okay? Okay?
Stop. Okay.
Why are you saying stop? May I go?
Please, it causes me so much stress when you leave, when you walk away from me with that. It's like you don't understand how much worse you're making this.
I can't believe this.
Please, you're making it worse for me.
Okay, I'm sorry for you.
Please, I'm only trying to tell you so that you know you're causing me immense stress right now when you walk away like that. There's no reason to be mad.
Well, then say goodbye. I haven't walked away. You're not saying goodbye. You won't let me f***ing leave. Let me leave.
Stop rushing me! Stop pushing me in the corner and then poking me with a stick and then saying, why aren't you saying the words you want me to say? Stop poking me! Stop rushing me! Stop throwing me against the wall and going, what? You don't like that wall? You don't like the f***ing wall? Stop pushing me!
Remember, I'm not pushing you. I'm not rushing you. I said, I need space. I don't want this conversation anymore right now. I need space. And I will take my space. Whether you like it or not, I will take it. And you will take your space. But if you keep halting
I'm not doing anything
this
to you.
and continuing
I'm
with
not
the rhetoric,
continuing it. I'm begging you to stop.
I don't. Okay, stop. I'm stopped. Stop. Now I have to go. Okay? So we will speak to each other in a couple of hours. Okay? I'll give some kind of revelation that makes you feel better. You know? I hope I do too. But we'll just see when I get home. We'll just talk, or we won't talk, or we'll finish this, or we won't finish it. But this is not love. This is not happiness. This is not.
Please stop doing this. Please, you're causing me so much stress. I'm gonna die at this age. I'm gonna fucking die. You're causing me so much stress. Please stop. Please, I feel like I have heart attacks almost every day. Please stop. Please
what are you
stop
doing? Why-
doing it. Please stop. He's so fucking mean.
Why
You're
are you
a
with me?
bully. Stop. Please stop. I've been begging you not to fight. I just said, can we please have a normal argument? Just even a normal conversation, fucking normal argument. And for the last hour, I've been begging you to please just leave it at that. Let's just go on with our night. I would have been able to come in with you. We would have been able to let it go in a few minutes. It would have been fine. If we allowed ourselves to have normal arguments. Please, you're killing me with this. You're killing me. You're killing me.
Sean, could you, please, I want you to just go I want you to take your medicine or whatever. I'm sorry that I've upset you
Yeah, I
this
think.
much.
Thank you, Sean. I'm ready to go. Thank you so much.
I'm really sorry.
I'm really ready.
It's you and Mr. Depp in the recording, correct, Ms. Heard?
That's correct.
You just won't let him go, will you?
That's not true. We were outside of his studio and he wanted to go and use. It was a pretext. The claim that he was upset with me was a pretext so that he would go on a bender. I knew that pattern by the time this recording happened.
Is your testimony now that you were outside Mr. Depp's studio?
I believe that
And
that
he was going to go
recording was.
use?
Excuse me?
He was going to go use drugs? That's your testimony now?
We were outside his studio, his man cave house, if you will, in the car, I believe, during that recording.
And he was going to go inside and use?
That was the pattern. And as you can hear from my voice, I'm very, very, very scared of entering into the next cycle under what I had been conditioned to understand we were at that point in our relationship.
That's not true, is it, Ms. Heard? Mr. Depp was trying to go inside his house to see his daughter, Lily Rose.
She might have been over that day, but
So
that's not
it's your
what he was
testimony
getting out of
now?
the car to do, and that's not what I was stopping him from doing.
Let's play the beginning part of that recording where Mr. Depp tells you that he wants to go inside to see his daughter.
And let's not do this anymore, because I'm really getting frustrated. And I'm really, really, really sick of this argument.
I'm sorry.
Okay? So let me go, and you go, and I'll speak to you in a couple hours. Okay? Okay?
Stop. Okay.
Why are you saying stop? May
he's
I
so-
go?
We'll circle back to this, but it's your testimony that you were outside Mr. Depp's studio.
We were in the car.
You were in the car outside of Mr. Depp's studio,
That's correct.
and he wasn't telling you, please let me go inside my house to see my daughter. He was indicating to you that he wanted to go inside to do drugs. That's your testimony.
I know my testimony is that I knew what he was going inside to go do. I knew what stage of the cycle we were in. I knew the patterns by then, and I was desperately out of time trying to interrupt that cycle.
Let's go to May of 2016. Yesterday, Ms. Heard, Ms. Bredehoff, your attorney, showed you certain pictures from May 21, 2016. Do you remember that?
Yes, I do.
Okay. If we could please pull up Defendant's Exhibit 710, which has already been admitted into evidence. Ms. Heard, you testified yesterday that this is a photograph taken of you on May 21st, 2016. Do you recall?
Yes, that's correct.
And keeping this exhibit up, if we could please do a split screen, Tom, and also pull up Defendant's Exhibit 714, which has already been admitted with redactions. Ms. Heard, you testified yesterday that this is a photograph that was also taken on May 21st, 2016, correct?
Yes, although the one to the right might have been taken the next day. I can't be sure. The reason I say that is because there's light in the background. So it looks like it was taken in the daytime, which means maybe it was the next day.
Didn't you testify that you took different lighting, pictures in different lightings on May 21?
That is correct, yes.
And you're wearing two thin necklaces in this picture on the right, is that correct?
That is correct.
You testified that these pictures were taken the same night.
The one on the right looks like it was taken in the daytime because I can see the daylight behind me.
But you testified that they were taken the same day.
I don't know if I think I testified that they came from the same incident of the same day, not necessarily taken on the same day.
Okay. Let's please pull up Defendant's Exhibit 712, which has already been admitted. You testified yesterday this is another photograph of you on the night of May 21.
That's correct.
And keeping this exhibit up, can we please do a split screen and also pull up Defendant 713, which has already been admitted? Ms. Heard, you testified yesterday this is also a photograph of you from the same night, correct?
That is correct.
You testified yesterday that the only difference between these two photographs is that the light was turned on.
That's what it appears to be, yes.
The light is on both of these pictures, though. Isn't that right?
It looks to me like the one on the left has the vanity light, the makeup lights, you know, the more yellow hued ones that go around the mirror on. And then the one on the right looks like it doesn't have those.
Isn't it true you just edited these photographs?
No, I've never edited a photograph.
Didn't you just enhance the saturation for one of these photos to make your face look more red?
No, that's incorrect. I didn't touch it.
You were sitting here in this courtroom when Mr. Isaac Baruch testified to seeing you the week after May 21, 2016, correct?
I was here.
Mr. Baruch testified that he saw you on May 22nd while you were changing the locks of your penthouse. Do you recall that testimony?
I do. I just don't know if he was right about the date, but I do remember him saying that.
Testified it was his birthday, the day after his birthday.
I believe it was.
Mr. Baruch testified that he saw you repeatedly in the days following also, correct?
That's correct.
And Mr. Baruch testified that he saw no marks or injuries on your face, correct?
That is what he's testified to.
You were also here in this court when Mr. Sean Bett testified to seeing you on the evening of May 21, 2016. Is that right? You were here.
That's correct.
Mr. Bett also testified that he saw no marks or injuries on your face that evening, correct?
I realize that's what he said.
You were sitting here in this courtroom when Officer Melissa Sines testified by deposition about being called to the Eastern Columbia building on May 21st, 2016, right?
I saw her testimony, yes.
And you heard Officer Sines testify that she did not see any injuries on you that night, correct?
I heard her testify she did not consider this injured.
No. Miss Officer Sines testified that she met with you and she did not see any injuries on your face. Isn't that correct?
She did not consider this injury.
Ms. Heard, my question is a bit more nuanced.
So is my answer.
All right.
Tom, can we put these down, please? I think they might be confusing the witness. My question is more nuanced. You sat in this courtroom while Officer Sines testified that she saw you the night of May 21, 2016, face to face, and didn't see any injuries on your face. Isn't that correct, Ms. Heard?
I believe she was testifying about these photographs, and she said that I was not injured in them.
Is it your testimony under oath now that Officer Sines testified that she saw injuries on you when she saw you in person on May 21?
Sorry, let me clarify. I was testifying that I know that that's what Officer Sines said, that she didn't consider my red puffy face injured. That's what she said.
The red, puffy face, that was your counsel's question, correct?
That was
She
her
said-
testimony in the UK.
That's incorrect, and you know that, Ms. Heard.
I disagree.
It's just inconvenient for you that Officer Sines didn't see injuries on you on May 21, 2016.
It doesn't matter what's convenient for me.
Right. Officer Tyler Haddon also testified by deposition about being called to the Eastern Columbia building on May 21, 2016, and he also testified no injuries on your face on May 21, 2016. Isn't that correct?
They both said that they did not consider me injured.
They did not see injuries on your face on May 21, 2016. Isn't that what their testimony was?
What their testimony was is that they did not consider what my face looked like to be injury. They didn't consider what they walked on in the house damage, but it was.
You were sitting here when Officer William Gatlin testified by deposition about being called on May 21 to the Eastern Columbia building, and he also did not observe any injuries on you, did he? And that's what he testified to.
He didn't even know which one I was.
No, I think we all saw on video camera you identify yourself. Isn't that correct?
I had to because of how far away he was. He didn't even know who he was
But
there
after
to
you
see.
identified yourself, he looked at you. Isn't that correct?
From a distance, yes.
And he didn't see any visible injuries either, did he?
I don't know what he saw.
He testified that he didn't see any visible injuries, did
I
he?
would believe that he didn't, yes.
You You were also in this courtroom when Alejandro Romero, who worked at the front desk at the Eastern Columbia building, testified about seeing you on May 25th, 2016. Isn't that correct?
That is correct. I think he said the 25th.
Yeah, and Mr. Romero testified that he didn't see any swelling or bruises on your face when you were talking to him at the front desk.
He wouldn't have.
No, he wouldn't have, even though he had a habit, because his parents taught him correctly, to look into someone's eyes when speaking to them. Isn't that correct?
I know that's what he testified to, yes.
You testified yesterday that you sought a temporary restraining order on May 27th, 2016 because you wanted to change your locks. Do you remember that testimony?
Yes, I do.
Those locks were to the penthouses at the Eastern Columbia building. Isn't that correct?
That's correct.
But you changed the locks to the penthouses on May 22nd, 2016.
I attempted to.
That's why you felt comfortable having James Franco over the evening of May 22nd, 2016, Ms. Heard?
I do not know when James came over.
Okay, let's remind you. Can we please pull up Plaintiff's Exhibit 304, which is already in evidence, and play from 254 through 439? That's you and Mr. Franco on May 22nd, 2016, right, Ms. Heard?
That's correct.
And you're taking him up to the penthouses, aren't you?
That's where I lived, yes.
And it's past 11 p.m. at night, isn't that right?
I'm not quite sure of the time it looked like that.
Why don't we pull that video back up? $22:51. Almost midnight, right?
That's
Excuse me, almost 11 o'clock at night.
exactly.
You knew Mr. Depp was out of town the week of May 21, 2016, didn't you?
I don't know what I knew of his schedule at the time.
You knew Mr. Depp was out of town on May 27th when you went to get the domestic violence restraining order, isn't that right?
I don't know if I knew that at the time.
You knew Mr. Depp was heading out on a European tour that week, isn't that right?
I'm not quite sure what I understood of his schedule at that time.
You knew he wouldn't be back for weeks, right?
No, that's incorrect.
Let's go back to that recording. It's Defendant's Exhibit 598. You testified that you and Mr. Depp were in the car outside of his studio. Is that right?
Yes.
And you were trying to prevent him from going into his studio to do drugs, right?
Yeah, to effectively start another cycle.
Right. Not that Mr. Depp was just trying to go into his house to see his daughter, right?
His daughter might be one of the people that was in the house at that time, but that's neither here nor there. That
Your testimony is now,
prevented him from entering a cycle.
Your testimony is now that Mr. Depp does in front of his children?
Well, first of all, I know he does. Second of all, it wouldn't have mattered. It wouldn't have stopped him from using with his friends, which was the problem, not whether or not his daughter was there.
Let's play, please, defendants 598 at 4948 through 5035. 5035.
I'm itching. I don't want to be doing this. I want it just to. Why don't you just say, okay, baby, I understand. I'll go home and you do your thing, hang out with your daughter, and then I'll see you in a couple hours and we'll talk about it. Is it that difficult to say that? Or you just hate me and you want to be shitty about it? Please. Just, it's not that difficult. Okay? I don't want to stand here in a driveway and argue with you. Okay, well, I'll see you in a little bit, okay? Please? Please. Just let me know if you're going to go somewhere. Just let me know, please, so I know.
And almost an hour later, you're still arguing with Mr. Depp outside, right?
I don't know how long that argument lasted, no.
Ms. Heard, you testified about seeking a domestic violence restraining order against Mr. Depp, correct?
Yes, I have.
And how you wanted to do it discreetly?
That's correct.
That you wanted as much privacy as you could have?
Yes, that's correct.
And how you walked out to a sea of paparazzi and cameras and photographers, right?
That is correct.
And how this overwhelmed you?
It was overwhelming, yes.
Because you didn't want this attention on you?
That is correct.
If we could please pull up Defendant's Exhibit 800, which has already been admitted into evidence. This is a photograph of you taken inside the courthouse when you obtained the DVRO, correct?
That's correct.
And your friend Raquel Pennington took this photograph?
Yes, that's correct.
Because you needed to document your time at the courthouse getting a DVRO?
She just took a picture of me. I'm assuming it was in relation to my divorce, yeah.
If we could please pull up Defendant's Exhibit 801, which has already been admitted into evidence. Ms. Heard, this is another photograph of you taken inside the courthouse, isn't that right?
That is correct.
Were you having a photo shoot inside the courthouse while you were getting a DVRO?
I would not characterize it that way, Ms. Vasquez.
You have a mark on your face, right, Ms. Heard?
Yes.
You didn't use your bruise kit this time to cover it up?
No, it was the only day I actually walked out of my house without makeup on. I had to be stopped. My best friend saw me in the bathroom starting to put makeup on and told me not to.
All right. Can we please pull up Exhibit 1?
That's plaintiffs at 1?
Yes, thank you, Your Honor. Apologies.
That's fine.
It's already been admitted into
Yes, ma'am.
evidence. You wrote this op-ed, right, Ms. Heard?
With the help of the ACLU, yes.
And that's what you testified to in this courtroom, right?
That is correct.
And this is published on December 18th, 2018, correct?
That is correct.
Aquaman was released on December 21st, 2018, right?
Yes, that sounds correct.
And that was your first big blockbuster, big budget role, right?
I disagree, but it was the first time I had like a leading role in a movie of that size, yes. Well, second time, yes.
What was your first time?
The first one was the film I talked about before, yesterday, Justice League. It introduced the character. So, technically it was the second one.
But you were the love interest in Aquaman, correct?
That is correct.
Now, at least parts of this op-ed are about Mr. Depp, isn't that right?
It's about what happened to me after.
You sat here during opening statements when your attorney argued that the context of your statements in this op-ed matter, correct?
That's correct.
So let's go through some of that context. You wrote here, quote, "Friends and advisors told me I would never work again as an actress, that I would be blacklisted."
That is
You're
correct.
referring to your accusations of domestic violence against Mr. Depp in the statement, aren't you?
Can you repeat the question? I'm sorry.
You're referring to your accusations of domestic violence against Mr. Depp in the statement, aren't you?
In general, I'm referring to being associated with domestic violence.
And you're referring to what you claim happened after you got an ex-party domestic violence restraining order against Mr. Depp in May of 2016, right?
Are you asking me if that's what I was writing about?
That's what you're referring to, correct?
Can you just give me the question again? I'm sorry.
You're referring to what you claim happened after you got an ex-party restraining order against Mr. Depp in May of 2016.
That's correct.
You also wrote, quote, questions arose as to whether I would be able to keep my role of Mira in the films Justice League and Aquaman. This is also referring to your accusations of domestic violence against Mr. Depp, right?
This is referring to what happened to me after I got my TRO, my restraining order.
Against Mr. Depp, right?
That is correct.
These questions arose only after you accused Mr. Depp of domestic violence in May of 2016, allegedly, right?
Yeah, from the time I got the TRO, being associated with domestic violence, that's what it's a reference to, yes.
You also wrote, quote, imagine a powerful man as a ship like the Titanic. That ship is a huge enterprise. When it strikes an iceberg, there are a lot of people on board desperate to patch up holes, not because they believe in or care about the ship, but because their own fates depend on the enterprise. In this op-ed, you're saying Mr. Depp is a ship, right?
I'm making an analogy to a powerful man as a ship.
The powerful man you're referring to in this analogy is Mr. Depp, right?
I was talking about a bigger issue, actually, than just Johnny. I was talking about what we as a country were talking about at the time of writing this, which is when powerful men in general do something horrible or something they shouldn't, how there is a system in place to protect them, clean up after them, maintain them afloat. You know, this is a reference to not just Johnny, it was about what was happening as a culture when we were addressing a lot of Me Too issues for the first time.
The iceberg is you in this analogy, right, Ms. Heard?
I would not say that. That was not what I intended to know.
So this is another reference to your accusations against Mr. Depp.
No, this is about what happened to me once I left that relationship and got a TRO and became associated with domestic violence.
Right. But it's your testimony that this op-ed isn't about Mr. Depp, right?
It's about what happened to me after. That's correct.
It's about your experience after obtaining a temporary restraining order against Mr. Depp, right?
That is correct, among other things.
But it's not about Mr. Depp.
It is not about him.
Mr. Depp is making it about Mr. Depp, right?
Ironically.
It's kind of like that Carly Simon song, right, Ms. Heard?
I don't know what you mean.
Let's talk about the defamatory statements in the op-ed that you also claim are not about Mr. Depp. Then 2 years ago, I became a public figure representing domestic abuse, and I felt the full force of our culture's wrath for women who speak out. This is about Mr. Depp, isn't it?
No.
You wrote this in 2018, right?
Exactly.
And 2 years prior was 2016, right?
That's true.
Okay.
That's correct. It's
So
not about
May of
Johnny.
two-
It's
Ms.
about what
Heard-
happened to me
Ms.
after.
Heard, my question was May of 2016 is 2 years prior to December of 2018, correct?
That's correct.
All right. May 2016 is when you publicly accused Mr. Depp of domestic violence, right?
I got my restraining order at that time.
And you publicly accused Mr. Depp of domestic violence.
Yes, that was attached to my restraining order, so yes.
May of 2016 is when you sought a restraining order against Mr. Depp.
That's correct, and I had to
May-
provide testimony for that.
Right. And May 2016 is when you walked into court with a mark on your face to obtain that restraining order. Yes or no?
That was the day I walked into court with a bruise on my face, yes.
And you were photographed with that mark on your face, weren't you?
I walked out to a bunch of photographers, yes.
May 2016 is when you told the world that Mr. Depp had physically abused you during your relationship. Isn't that right?
That I had to provide testimony as part of my restraining order application, yes.
And that's how you became a public figure representing domestic abuse. Right, Ms. Heard?
From that point on, yes.
That's when you claimed you faced our culture's wrath,
That's
right?
when it started, yes.
But it's your testimony under oath that this statement is not about Mr. Depp.
It is not. It is about what happened to me afterwards. That's the more interesting thing for me to write about.
The next statement reads, I had the rare vantage point of seeing in real time how institutions protect men accused of abuse. This is also about Mr. Depp, isn't that right?
Not just about him, but he is included in that, yes.
He's the man you accused of abuse 2 years prior to this op-ed, isn't that right, Ms. Heard?
Yes, but I wrote this op-ed in the context of many men at the time that were public figures or in this public eye being accused as well. So it was a reference in general to a larger phenomenon, not just Johnny.
Not just Johnny.
Not just Johnny.
Okay. And then you write, I spoke up against sexual violence and faced our culture's wrath. This one's also about Mr. Depp.
I did not write that.
Well, you've accused Mr. Depp of sexual violence in this very courtroom, haven't you?
Yes, but I was intending to keep that private when this was published. I had not publicly ever accused him of that.
I'm going to move to strike everything after the word yes.
No, I'll overrule the objection. Go ahead.
Well, you may not have written this title, but you published it, didn't you?
I did not publish a title. I retweeted the article that included the title in it because that was the article.
Let's pull up, please, Plaintiff's Exhibit 3, which is already in evidence. This is a tweet from your Twitter account on December 19th, 2018, correct?
That is correct.
Your Honor, oh, it's already in evidence?
It is in evidence.
Thank you. So on December 19th, 2018, you tweeted, quote, today I published this op-ed in the Washington Post. Did I read that right?
That is correct.
And the tweet includes a link to the op-ed we were just looking at, correct?
That's correct.
And you can see that the title of the op-ed in your tweet is, quote, opinion, Amber Heard. I spoke up against sexual violence, right?
Yes, you don't get to change the title of an article you're retweeting.
And that's the title that you put on your Twitter, correct?
I did not put it on my Twitter, no.
You linked it to your tweet.
I retweeted the article.
You published it.
I retweeted a link to an article that I wrote.
And you published it on your Twitter account. All right.
I retweeted it.
You testified yesterday that you didn't have any control over the title, and just now, of the op-ed when you retweeted it. Is that correct?
That is correct.
This wasn't a retweet, though, right?
A tweet? Perhaps not retweet. I'm not quite sure.
It was
I guess
a tweet.
It was a tweet. I misspoke. Excuse me. Tweet, not retweet.
You included a link to the electronic copy of the op-ed in your tweet, right?
That's what I was trying to say earlier, and I might have misspoke. It's like I'm trying to attach it.
Right. So you included a link, right?
Yes,
to the
that's
op-ed.
correct.
Okay.
That's correct.
So you must have seen the title of the electronic version of the op-ed before you tweeted it, right?
I may have. I just didn't notice it.
Not very careful about what you publish, are you, Ms. Heard?
I just didn't notice the title.
You didn't need to include the link to the electronic version of the op-ed in your tweet, did you?
How else would I have linked it?
Well, you didn't need to include the link to tell the world that today you had published this op-ed in the Washington Post about women who are channeling their rage and about violence and equality into political strength despite the price of coming forward, right?
I couldn't attach it with a paper clip.
No, but you didn't need to attach it at all to tell the world
Oh, I
that
see
you
what you're
had
saying.
published an op-ed.
No, the goal was to tweet about it and to provide a link so that people could read it.
The op-ed is in your name, right?
That's correct.
So if you had noticed the title of the electronic version of the op-ed before you included it in your tweet, you could have asked the Washington Post to change it. Isn't that right?
No, that's not.
But you didn't do that, right? You never asked the Washington Post to change the title.
I didn't notice it, and I didn't ask them, nor do I think I needed to.
At the bottom, do you see that there's another tweet from December 19th, 2018?
Yes, I do.
And in this one, it reads, I am honored to announce my role as an ACLU ambassador on women's rights. Did I read that right?
That's correct.
So you announced your ACLU ambassadorship the same day you posted the op-ed on your Twitter.
I think
right?
that was always the plan, is to attach the article with the announcement that I was an ambassador.
Your Honor, if I may, Would this be a good time to stop for lunch?
No, it's too
No.
early.
Okay,
Sorry.
that's okay.
We got to keep going at least till 12:30.
Okay, that's
thank
fine,
you.
Your Honor. Thank you. You testified yesterday about your counterclaim against Mr. Depp in this case. Do you remember that testimony?
Yes, I do.
Your counterclaim is based on 3 statements made by Mr. Depp's attorneys, Adam Waldman. Is that right?
That's correct.
We looked at those 3 statements yesterday, right?
That's correct.
And the first statement was from an April 8th, 2020 article, right?
That's correct.
And that's Defendant's Exhibit 1245 that's been previously admitted. Would you please pull that up? Thank you. If we could please publish that. Thank you. We can scroll down to the 8th page. Mr. Waldman's statement is buried on the 8th page of a 12-page article. Is that right, Ms. Heard?
I don't know how many pages are here.
Well, this is the 8th page. Let's go to the 12th. Let's pull up, please, Defendant's Exhibit 1246, which has already been admitted. And if we could please go to Mr. Waldman's statement on page 10. And go on to page 11 of a That's Mr. Waldman's statement, right?
That is correct. Okay. I think it's Mr. Waldman speaking on behalf of Johnny, yes.
You don't have any evidence of that, do you, Ms. Heard? This is Mr. Waldman's statement, right?
I think it's included in the article as well.
That this is Mr. Waldman's statement, correct?
That a representative or an attorney, I don't know which word it says in the article, that it says very clearly that they're speaking on behalf of Johnny or representing Johnny.
Can we please pull up Plaintiff's Exhibit 8818A, excuse me. If we could please go to page 8 of this article. Sorry, Your Honor. May I just
All right.
approach?
Yes, ma'am.
We'll come back to this. Sorry, Ms. Heard. Sorry, Your Honor.
All right. Yes, ma'am.
Let's go ahead and take this down, please. Thanks. You testified yesterday about how your reputation was before these 3 statements were made, correct?
Yes, I did.
You testified that your career was going very well before.
I think I said the trajectory is positive, yes.
You testified you had a global campaign for L'Oreal, right?
That is correct.
You testified you were waiting on a schedule for Aquaman 2.
That is correct.
You testified you were scheduled to do a press tour for the TV show The Stand.
Press obligations, yes.
And then you testify that after the articles, you were no longer actively involved in the L'Oreal campaign. Isn't that right?
They suspended using my material.
And that you were no longer involved in the publicity surrounding the stand after the articles, right?
That's correct.
And you didn't hear anything about the schedule for Aquaman 2.
Correct.
Ms. Heard, you have no evidence that Mr. Waldman's 3 statements are the reason you are allegedly no longer active in the L'Oreal campaign, do you?
Well, I mean, other than my awareness that they can't use me because of all of the online attention that generated.
And you have no evidence that Mr. Waldman's 3 statements are the reason that the stand media opportunities allegedly stopped, do you?
Yeah, I know they couldn't attach my name to their promotional materials because of the online stuff.
In fact, there was a lot of reasons why you were no longer active in these endeavors. Isn't that right?
I disagree with that.
Reasons that had absolutely nothing to do with Mr. Waldman's statements. Isn't that right?
I disagree with that.
There was a lot of publicity about your relationship with Mr. Depp around the time Mr. Waldman made the 3 statements at issue, right?
I do not recall.
A lot of really negative publicity for you, Ms. Heard. Isn't that right?
There's been an ongoing smear campaign, yes.
An ongoing negative publicity campaign.
It's an orchestrated smear campaign.
You have no evidence of that, do you, Ms. Heard?
Just look me up, you'll see.
Let's take a look at some of that.
All right.
Okay. Thank you, everyone, for your patience. So, Ms. Heard, my last question to you was that there was a lot of negative publicity for you around the time that Mr. Waldman made these statements. Isn't that correct?
I believe that they were made, I believe that the statements kind of kept being attached to new defamatory, or, articles that were like smear campaign sort of attack articles is what it.
Okay. Let's go through some of the articles that were out in the press. So, Plaintiff's Exhibit 1267. Could just publish that just for the witness. That would be great. Thank you. This is an article published on February 2nd, 2020, and the title is hashtag Justice for Johnny Depp trends after Amber Heard admits to hitting actor in audio clip. Do you see that?
I see that.
And if we can go to Plaintiff's Exhibit 1268. This one was published on February 3rd, 2020. It reads the title, Amber Heard admits to hitting Johnny Depp in recording.
Yeah,
Do you see
that's
that?
when his lawyer leaked an edited tape.
Ms. Heard, do you see the title? Amber Heard admits to hitting Johnny Depp in recording. Do you see that?
I see the title.
Okay. We could please go to Plaintiff's Exhibit 1269. This one was published on March 17th, 2020. Amber Heard slammed door into Johnny Depp's head, reveals new audio. Do you see that?
Yeah, these are more of the PR plans.
Let's go to 1270. This one was published on March 31st, 2020. Amber Heard to be sacked from Jason Momoa's Aquaman after Johnny Depp's controversy, reports. Do you see that?
I do.
We can go to Plaintiff's Exhibit 1271. You see the title that says, Johnny Depp says ex-wife Amber Heard sliced his finger off, and it, quote, erupted like the Vesuvius?
I just don't know when that was. I've never seen that article.
We can go to 1272. This one was published on May 29th, 2020, and it says, when Amber Heard confessed to smashing a door into Johnny Depp's head, clocking him in the jaw. Do you see that?
I see that.
Going to 1275. This one was published on July 15th, 2020. Amber Heard stole my assault story. Ex-aide tells libel trial. Do you see that?
This was Adam Waldman as well.
It doesn't say Mr. Waldman. It actually says Kate James also says she often received abusive text messages from Johnny Depp's ex-wife, doesn't it?
I just know because he threw down the article.
Ms. Heard, isn't that what that says?
Mr. Waldman threw the
Ms.
newspaper at
Heard,
me afterwards.
Ms. Heard, that's not my question.
What
My
was your
question
I'm
is,
sorry.
the title of the article says, Amber Heard stole my assault story, ex-aide tells libel trial. Kate James also says, Your Honor, she opened the door by saying it was Adam Waldman.
I'll sustain the objection. Next question.
Okay. Let's go to Plaintiff's Exhibit 1276. Amber Heard admits to hitting baby Johnny Depp in court audio. Do you see that, Ms. Heard?
That's correct.
Okay. Let's go to 1277. Published July 28th, 2020. Amber Heard's sister thought she was going to kill Johnny Depp, claims witness. Do you see that, Ms. Heard?
I see that.
And 1278. Published on July 28th, 2020. Johnny Depp was the victim of abuser Amber Heard, London's High Court told. Do you see that?
I do see that.
Thank you, Your Honor.
All right, thank you. Go ahead and take our lunch recess then. Ladies and gentlemen, we'll go ahead and take our hour lunch recess at this point. Do not discuss the case with anybody and don't do any outside research. Okay, we'll see you in an hour. All right, we'll come back at 1:35 then. Is that fine? All right, thank you.
All right.